Welcome to Line by Line. Today, two guests, Joshua and Algernon Matthew. We all met on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord server. I'll provide the link below. Please, guys, check it out. So, Matthew and Joshua talked over voice chat about music and Poisoning Pigeons in the Park by Tom Lehrer. Just short question, guys. Why did you pick that song? Joshua, you go first.
I picked it because I just like the song. It's like one of those songs that's like super accessible. Like you can show it to kids and but it's also like witty and fun and it's lighthearted and I really admire Tom Lehrer and his work and he's been an inspiration to me. So, yeah.
Excellent. Matthew?
I've been a big fan of the song. I think it was probably the first Lehrer song I heard off of Dr. Demento way back in the day. And it's got clever wordplay, which I'm a sucker for, and in a tone of kind of sarcasm, but it's well meant. Anyway, I like it.
There's an interesting background to Tom Lehrer. He is I believe a math professor at Harvard, which is interesting.
I don't think he is now.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Tom.
I'm not sure where he was, but where he was a professor, but I believe, he was a professor and a lecturer and was involved in the public discussion that society used to have when it had rational public discussion. But then again, he made a song about poisoning pigeons, so.
Because the song is public domain, it's the first line by line in history of line by line where I'm actually able to share it. It's excellent. Like, what stood out to me was he said sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. So he got a girl who is like with him. Yeah, let's do that. And so they're together, they're like enabling it for each other to go and poison the pigeons in the park.
That does make it does take it a little bit out of the like full creepy space.
Yeah.
Because like it's set in that, like it's a date.
Yeah.
It's not just him going to kill pigeons, is my point.
He found a weirdo with the same sense of humor.
Right. It's way funnier. Your girlfriend.
Oh, and he's saying, when we are poisoning pigeons in the park. So you see, he uses we, right? So
yeah.
Because of course, it's group activity.
So, Matthew, what did you think about that part?
Well, the first thing that strikes me is that it's so formal, which is part of the thing. Like he is wearing a tie and a suit, black tie, black suit. He's in like a piano recital thing, and everyone is dressed up, and it's obviously a very formal affair. And so to have a person singing, and then you're like, oh, what's he going to sing about? And you're like, oh, he's singing about poisoning pigeons, and that's part of the joke of the thing. that is so high contrast to what any civil person would talk about. And so I think that's something I appreciate here right at the beginning. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I didn't notice that. So yeah, that is an interesting contrast. But he dresses like that for all of his songs, I think.
Yeah, I'd forgotten.
Yeah. Um, it just reminds me of Lex Friedman. That's all I think of him wearing a tie and
Shout out, Lex.
yeah.
This is like a reverse shock jock, you know, like because he's so straight laced, and then he talks about something you're like, what? Why is this straight laced person talking about this off topic? And so he's like shocking by being super polite.
Yeah.
Mm. To me, what stood out, the spring is here, life is Skittles and life is beer. So, like all those positive things that's supposed to make you happy.
No, 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 no.
No?
Skittles and beer are
Yeah.
bad for you.
No. See, you don't even know what Skittles is, Carrie.
Oh my God. What Skittles is, guys?
Skittles has a lot of sugar, and beer has alcohol and poison.
Oh,
All of that
Alcohol,
sounds like a
like,
lot of fun. I'm
it
sorry, I'm
sounds
not
like
promoting.
fun. It's a nice exterior. It's a nice exterior, and you feel good. But then, like, it does damage to you, like the way peanuts coated with cyanide does damage to pigeons.
okay.
Oh, that's a great
I don't
analogy, dude.
Like it's like yeah, spring is here, life is Skittles and life is beer. And beer
yeah.
sounds like fun and Skittles sounds great, but then you have too much of it and it kills you. Well, kind of.
I think Skittles refers to a game that you play in a bar while you're drinking beer. It's in the UK, where it's more European than it is here in the States. And it involves sliding a puck. It's kind of a handheld hockey puck. And there's like a lane, like a little mini bowling lane. And you slide the puck and it knocks, I think there are little pins at the other end. Anyway, it's a game you play in a bar. So Skittles and beer, pretty sure he means the game.
I like to think of it as the candy.
Does anybody drink Skittles and beer? Anyway, it's fun. It doesn't really even matter. Like,
Yeah.
he's like sets this idyllic, lovely, flowing thing, and then he hits you with the squirrels.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, the treats for him are a little bit tiny, little bit poisonous. Like the beer is slightly little bit poisonous with alcohol, although I'm not sure it was well known. Was it well known?
I think they had an expression that was life is Skittles, just like you were just really happy. You were carefree.
Yeah.
Springtime, carefree, you're going out with your girl, da da da.
Ah.
I think the spring is beautiful, don't you? Of course you do. It amazes me how he can sing and interact with the audience like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I have like vocal patter in with the song, and he's playing the piano. Like, all at the same time. That's an amazing amount of things to do with your brain and keep it all organized.
Yeah, and he's like sugar coating it and like da 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 with like this happy smile.
Super talented.
And makes every Sunday a treat for me. And what's next?
And this is like the point of like the turning point, like the comedic shock point. Where you're like, oh, it's not, all the world seems in tune on a spring afternoon.
They're poisoning pigeons in the park. Bravo us.
I think so at the end where he had ended, I think in the video we had gotten up to cyanide. It's the first of a series of wonderful rhymes. And I think it's funny because in the song, he's most famous for singing the Elements song, where he goes through however many elements at some ridiculous pace. And so here, for him to start talking about compounds is kind of funny because he's like, cyanide, and you're like, uh-oh, where are we going from here? And it seemed to me, at least when I hear him say the sentence before the cyanide, where he says the word is, I'll try and hide, and I'm like, uh-oh, that sounds like he's setting up for a rhyme. And sure enough.
Yeah, it's interesting how he rhymed hide and cyanide.
Just try and hide. Cyanide.
I think there's something about what he's doing here where he is like, he's like exposing this thing that we keep hidden, which is like, we don't think about the damage we do to the bird, to the pigeons when we, you know, feed them. We're not thinking about that. It's kind of hidden from our consciousness. We're just having careless fun. And then when this thing that's hidden is kind of revealed, it kind of, there's a like a humor and like an absurdity to it.
When they see us coming, the birds all try and hide. Like, is it like sort of dominance over the little things?
I think he was just going for the rhyme.
They're conflicted because they're kind of scared of us, right? But they want the peanuts, so they kind of go in there, and then they eat the peanuts, and then they leave really quickly. Like, and you know, like, there's that kind of dynamic.
How it was easy to get a cyanide back in the day? Is it like a common thing?
Actually, he might have been involved with the chemistry department, so not that much. But it's an interesting point. Like the framing in this whole thing is I don't know what it is literarily called, but a farce. I.e., no one is really suggesting that anyone would do this. The joke is that you wouldn't do this. But it does raise a question nowadays. I wonder if there are a lot of people who would take this literally, intentionally or not, and not see the humor in it, like unable to see through the sarcasm of it. I assure you, nobody was using cyanide in the making of that song.
I think, you know, anyone who takes this literally and is like outraged by this is not, you know, they don't understand what Tom Lehrer is doing, which is he's trying to expose, you know, the kind of human beings we are. Like, this is what we do, is we poison pigeons, and we do it with a smile on our face. And it's like he's exposing that with comedy, right? And humor.
I wonder if that was an actual thing at the time, if they were poisoning pigeons to reduce the population or not. So I wonder if the audience was like especially sensitive to the fact, like, is a social commentary there about there's a pressure to, it's something we do, like killing squirrels and pests, and we're awfully lighthearted about it sometimes. And so the song is like raising those tensions and sort of putting it in too positive a light, too relaxed and too joyous. And, you know, that's the sarcastic amplification.
Okay, let's move to the other line.
We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society with our games. They call it impiety and lack of propriety and quite a variety of unpleasant names.
What do you think about that part? We have gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the society. What's that?
Audubon Society, yeah.
It's like a nature conservation organization or something like that.
Specifically birds. They are the renowned bird society. Everything birds. The Audubon Society is the absolute authority.
Is it a thing?
It is here, yeah. And it would be well known to people at that time in Harvard. That's why it was causing them distress, because you're getting rid of birds.
Now that I think about it, like birds kind of considered as a past of architecture.
Oh yeah, big time in the cities especially. They do special, they changed the exterior buildings to they can now
Monuments as
learn
well, right?
to be
Like,
careful. Yeah. Like if you have birds perched somewhere,
hmm.
they will poop there. I
Oh,
know,
oh,
it's shocking. So they and then that can, stain and discolor and cause problems and accumulate. And so anyway, so they do things to buildings to take into account where birds might perch or nest.
So getting rid of birds, it's in a way protecting the architecture.
that's one way to look at it, but that's not what the Audubon Society thinks.
On the other hand, they're not usually like, I don't think they're overly upset about the pigeons. The pigeon population is be healthy.
Like they're upset over birds that are kind of sort of in danger or rare.
Yeah, I would say that's their primary. That and just to, I don't know, they're into birds. Cause much anxiety in the Audubon Society. They call it impiety. I mean, he was on this rhyming. Actually, the whole thing, right? It starts with notoriety.
Yeah, it's like he's like a genius. He goes notoriety, anxiety, society, games, impiety, propriety, variety of names. He's like a rapper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're interesting.
Yeah, he's like throwing bars in there. Like,
yeah.
very good. Excellent. I kind of,
He didn't make it up on the fly, by the way, but I bet it was fun when he did.
I'm sure he did make it up on the fly. I think he
Not
had
while he
no
was
idea.
singing at that moment. I'm pretty sure he had practiced it, written it down, perhaps put music to it. But I bet when he originally came up with it, I bet he spitballed all the lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that it could be a cool um, punk rock song. Poisoning Pigeons in the Park would be a cool punk rock song. It has like this very snarky,
I,
sarcastic lyrics.
I don't think you could translate it. I think it might be tied to the music. Like it has to be in this very sickly, sweet, happy la 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 la. And if it's
Uh,
like head banging punk rock and you're
Yeah,
talking
it's not
about
funny.
let's kill pigeons, like all right,
I mean,
that's more about killing pigeons. It's gonna be gonna
Yeah.
lose your subtleness.
I don't know. Like if somebody like Sid Vicious done it, I mean,
Ask an AI, they can generate it for you pretty soon here.
oh, okay.
But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon.
I think this line, it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon, is like, this is not one of those things that is like, pigeons are not sacred. And like, in the way that like, I don't know, something religious would be. It's like,
Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting. Because like at the sarcastic level, it's true, right? I mean, this isn't like a source of truth type song. But the thing he's poking fun at there, I would say, is that any religion worth its salt would in fact be opposed to disposing of a pigeon. Christianity would be, right? You're like, I'm going to kill this thing and I have no reason. I don't think that's something Jesus would do. And I'm pretty sure that, almost all other religions would say, like, if you're going to extinguish life, you should have some reason to do it, that it would engender evil in you to do it without reason. It's not for food or whatever. You just like, get rid of this pigeon.
There's no doctrine that like says you can't poison pigeons. There's doctrines that say like, like don't
Kill.
I don't know, don't drink or whatever, or don't curse or what, like, there's specific like things in religion that are like specifically they say in the doctrines that you can't do. And poisoning pigeons isn't one of those things. Like, and if it was, people would be outraged by it. Like it would
How does
be.
this fit with do unto others? I guess, is the pigeon an other or not?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's like a more general thing, and it's up to interpretation. So
Yeah.
you
I
can.
mean, I think he was being ironic when he said that there's no religions that would say this is. I think that's actually not correct.
I think he was being serious. I think he's just like
You think Catholicism says it's fine to kill pigeons?
I don't think they take it too seriously. I think it's like
What?
it's like, it's not one of the things that we find that's like sacred and that we have to like respect. Like it's like a
Pigeons do shit on cathedral.
yeah, they're kind of
Yeah, but
they're
all the
kind of
world is
they're kind of dirty, and they like pigeons are kind of dirty, and they're like, city dwellers, and they like, dirty the city, and it's like
Again,
like
I'm not promoting violence against animals.
that's not the point.
I
That's
got
not
this is maybe a good question for like the religious people, and I mean like the official religious people, but I'm pretty sure they would all say that they were against poisoning pigeons in a park.
but that's the thing. We would all say it, but we still do it.
Yeah, I get that,
Also,
and I'm sure that cities do have programs where they're like, look, we got way too many pigeons, and it's really going to be a problem, and we're going to do something about it. So we do it, but I'm thinking the religions would still, at least on their good days, if they were being honest, would say like, no, that would be a sin to go and kill an animal. Pretty sure. Check with your priest, kids.
it's funny that I was talking to Matthew about this before, that pigeons and doves are actually the same species,
I
right?
didn't know that.
Yeah. But we're okay with killing pigeons, but we're not okay with killing doves.
Right.
Because there is a dove of peace, but what technically it is, it's a pigeon of peace.
Right. So doves are like a sacred thing. You can't, you don't kill doves, but you can poison pigeons in the park. It's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon.
Yeah, that line, I'm like, I'm sure there's some religions that are like, yeah, actually, we do have a problem with that. The Jains would
That's true.
not.
The Jains would not approve of this, yeah. But they would not approve of killing an ant. That would be like horrible murder.
Oh,
So if Sunday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park.
He's making an irony.
Yes, yeah, he's revealing it, and it's funny and it's ironic, but I'm just saying that okay, never mind.
it's awesome. It's also, I want to bring in, and maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while it boys and innovations in the park. So, like, it's okay if there are bystander victims.
Oh yeah, was that collateral damage?
Collateral damage.
Yeah, although it sounds like here they're like going after the squirrels, so maybe that's not quite right.
Yeah. It's like they
I
don't
think
care.
it's just sort of pointing at the trend. Like once we decide you can do in a pigeon, maybe you could upgrade. And then he does that little thing with his voice. It's funny.
Yeah, that thing with that voice. Yeah.
It's mock sinister though. Maybe he'll do in a squirrel or two. Like if he had a twisty mustache, it would be perfect.
I like what you said about collateral damage. Like we're not trying to feed the squirrels, but they just come and they
Eat the nuts.
yeah.
Loaded with cyanide.
Cyanide is this poison that you cannot taste in a sense.
I heard it smells like something, but I can't quite remember it.
We'll murder them all amid laughter and merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine we feed to a pigeon. It just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park.
So, we will murder them amid laughter and merriment. What's that? Merriment.
Like joy.
Oh, joy.
Interesting. I don't think anyone really uses that word though. Like, I think it's in songs. I've seen it in songs, but I don't know that I've heard any like normal human being ever say, "Let's go get some merriment down at the mall."
Joy to the world and merriment.
It fits in songs. I think we've got that, but it's one of those words. I don't think anyone uses it, but we could at any moment. We could experience merriment, and we should bring it back.
And then, like, he used it to rhyme with experiment.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, what is he pointing to there?
It's the escalation. Because so he's done pigeons. He's like, we're poisoning pigeons. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, maybe we'll do some squirrels. You're like, it's getting dodgy. And now he's like, now we're going to take him home to experiment. And so he's like pushing the farce even further with this line. Plus he gets to twirl his mustache again.
It's like moral degradation. Like he has to up a notch.
You have to go further each time in the joke. Because you're going more degrees away from civility. And so at this point he's all the way up to torturing them. Yay. Again,
The thing is, we enjoy killing squirrels and pigeons, but we don't enjoy experimenting,
like torturing them, like
torturing them like that.
I don't think you're supposed to enjoy any of those things.
but-
there.
I really enjoy like he's does like a laughter and merriment.
No, but he's in the space of a sarcasm. So he's saying things that are untrue intentionally because of the tension that it then causes in you.
You mean I should not take the song literally?
Yes, this is what I mean. Should not go kill pigeons in the park.
I do not enjoy intentionally killing pigeons. No.
There you go. For the record.
For the record, I'll put the
I'm
disclaimer
not
in.
a sadist. But if I
But
I might.
if I were.
like if I if I don't think about it and I'm not like, oh yeah, this peanut might kill the pigeon, and I'm just like, carelessly feeding birds or something without that in mind, then it's like when we meet or like a burger, we're not like, we don't have like the graphic images of butchering animals and killing them and all of this, like the horrifying reality of factory farming. Like it's not like we kind of ignore that when we're like enjoying ourselves, right? And it's like,
Oh, that's an excellent point, George. It's like people actually enjoy a bucket of buffalo wings, but they don't really think, oh, what took for the people to get this buffalo
exactly.
thing. Ah,
Yeah.
that's a great one.
So if you do really feel bad about the pigeons in this song, then you also have to consider, the cow.
Hypocrisy.
Seriously. And this does point at that. They're like, oh, this is a horrible song about pigeons. And you're like, okay, are we really going to look at this issue?
Like I've done it. I've fed pigeons before. Like
Not poison, I hope.
What?
Not strychnine.
I mean, I was a kid. I don't know if maybe I was poisoning them.
No. He's not talking about any other reinterpretation here. This is written quite a bit ago before we started changing all the words in the dictionary. So when he says poison pigeon, he just means, I mean, he gives you the chemicals, cyanide, strychnine.
Yeah.
There's another
Strychnine.
wonderful rhyme there. My pulse will be quickening. And as soon as he said quickening, when I heard the song, I was just like, oh, here we go. Because she knew, like, why would you say quickening?
With each drop of
It's
strychnine.
strychnine. Like, it's strychnine is how it's usually pronounced. But if you're rhyming.
Oh, in Russian,
really
it's
flexible.
strychnine.
Oh, yeah? Maybe
Yeah.
it makes more rhyme. But usually they would say strychnine. At
Oh.
least that's how I heard it. But
So
you're allowed to bend things like that. It's fine.
with each drop with it, so I actually think in that particular stanza he says that he gets a kick out of it.
Okay. I've been trying to find the mute.
Because look, he goes for experimenting on them with each drop of strychnine, and it's like a new drug he introduces. He probably does it at home to see which poison kills them faster.
Right, it's sadistic.
Yeah. He says like my pulse will be quickened. So like it actually does give something to him to do it. Like there is some sort of weird reward.
If you hear this in the wider context of the Masochism Tango, which is another of his songs.
Oh, okay. I was out of the
There's a
loop.
shout out to sadism going on here.
An ode to sadism. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I never thought about that.
No,
No.
that's a much more difficult song. This one's easy and light. That one, it's a little in your face.
I actually am enjoying the fact that I'm able to share those songs and play them live. Wow.
It'd be interesting to comment on older songs like that.
Yeah.
And this was, in a political commentary sort of space.
So to summarize this one,
I think this is just what we said before, just trying to expose the hypocrisy of, what we do. And like we're so horrified by it, but we actually we enjoy it. And like, how do you square those two together? Like, you can't. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what he was getting to, maybe.
Matthew.
Again, I don't know if he really meant how much of this to say this, but yeah, mankind's relationship with other life, and just we stomp on things quite a bit, and so he was playing with that tension. And I still think he's not in the space of necessarily people would enjoy it really. But there are times where, like if you're getting rid of mice or something, he's a pest, any kind of a pest, that there's something pretty primal in it. I'm not sure if he was really trying to do that deep of a social commentary here. My strong intuition is that he once encountered the word smidgen, and that just resonated so strongly with the word pigeon that he was like, I have to write the whole, and then the rest of the song just wrote itself.
Did he do social commentary in his other songs?
Oh, yeah.
I think this song also has it.
I think so too.
Fair. They may have been killing a lot of animals at the time. Pesticides were very popular.
Yeah, I think what you said, like the tension between, our moral attitudes, and our strong moral attitudes, and the kind of carelessness that we just like enjoy, feeding pigeons, and we don't even think about what the damage we're doing. So I think it's that tension between those two.
Like there is this satire on our reality, and this sort of double standards in there.
I think was there a war going on at the time? I'm not sure exactly what date this was done, but just our relationship with life And there might have been like a local thing where some people like were getting rid of some of the birds, and people were, there was outrage or professed outrage over that. And maybe he was writing a commentary to say like, we are so concerned about these birds, and there's a bunch of people dying in Vietnam
Exactly.
and coming home in coffins,
67.
and we're eating, whatever. So what is our relationship to death?
I feel like if you take comedy, like just let's speak broadly about comedy, that comedy serves a kind of social function, or like an important social function.
Yeah.
Then like if you it's almost like it's not comedy anymore. Like if you're taking it too seriously, like it's not, it loses its essence, which is like just being lighthearted and just kind of like the idea of seeing comedians as like these important figures who have this social commentary and who are, that like have all these, like they're irreverent and important in some way. And it's like I feel like a lot of comedians don't see themselves like that. And I don't think they should.
The fact that this is before a live audience, and I think maybe there's something about comedy to this. If it's before a live audience and you see like a recording of a comic doing a set or something, and you see the year it's recorded, and you see that audience. Now, of course, it's just that audience, so it could be different audiences have different reactions. But you could see a thing and say, okay, in 1974, audiences thought this joke was pretty funny. And, the comedian has to be good enough to craft a joke that people of that time, in his audience are going to find it funny. And if he's doing social commentary and trying to push something, then that would be in there as well. But anyway, it provides sort of a snapshot for the rest of us outside of that time to look back and say, okay, people in whenever you released this, 1970,
67, yeah.
1967, thought that this, like they would chuckle at this joke that he was doing in this context. And so it reflects, a really live, visceral, unfaked thing. Like that reaction was from those people in that audience at that time. It wasn't a manufactured thing at all. So to me, the fact that like it's not a laugh track, it wasn't forced, it wasn't, you can see how the audience actually interacts with that information at that time. That's an interesting aspect of it.
He's an entertainer, that's for sure. He does sort of performance, but I do still think it was a satire. It was not just an art piece that he meant to perform for the public. It was a commentary in a way.
And for that crowd at Harvard, I think poking fun, and they're all dressed up very nicely with ties and suits and whatnot. And so he was poking fun at their civility and their upper classedness. Good.
Wow.
Exactly.
And then he was like, well, we might go poison some pigeons or something. And so I think there was something of that because he was, in that environment where trying to take his peers, knock him down a peg. So I think that was in there. So the part where they talk about experiments, it occurred to me that, especially in the space of war, that's always a big aspect, especially when, like at this time, chemical weapons from World War I, World War II, and then still Vietnam, Agent Orange, etc. These were like experiments that were being done on the troops, like and on the quote enemy, but of both sides, not equally. Anyway, this was the whole time where like the whole chemical industry was exploding, and gas chambers, etc., gas warfare. So that was all a lot more active, I would say, in the public mind at that time. And so anyway, and he's with a bunch of doctors and education type people, and he's talking about, except for the few we take home to experiment. And it struck me that I don't know, there's a little bit of a ring there of, doctors being too enthusiastic about experimentation. at the risk of their own moral standing.
It reminds me of what's a Nazi doctor?
Mengele,
Yeah,
I
Mengele.
literally just thought about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a note in here of just like he may be sort of pointing at that too. I'm not quite sure of what was really hot in the news when he did this, but I bet it stitches in.
When I watched Stranger Things, there was a character, Hopper. During the war in Vietnam, his job was to mix some chemicals, and that kind of poisoned his genetic material, so that's why he was not able to make healthy children, whatever. And I just remembered I was sitting, like, as I was watching it, I was like, were they using chemicals in Vietnam? And like, I had no idea. I literally learned it from Stranger Things.
Of course, you're from a different country, so it's a little different. You guys, Poland has had countless wars that we would have no idea about.
True.
Yeah, I think he is basically trying to show that we're kind of like sociopaths in the sense that we are so disconnected from what we're doing to these animals, and like a sociopath is completely disconnected from what they're doing to the victims of. So it's I think he's making that analogy.
I think you're right. So the disconnectedness of one to one's emotions is definitely a theme.
Yeah.
Andy rhymed it well. Smidgen.
Just a smidgen. Well, that had been fun. I am absolutely grateful for introducing me to that wonderful singer. So thank you, Matthew and Joshua.
I introduced you. I want the credit.
So
Yeah.
I am absolutely grateful for Joshua introducing me to that wonderful singer. Again, thank you. Thank you, Matthew, for your input and part in it too. And thank you to our today's sponsor, which is Free Time. See you in the next Line by Line. Bye!
That's a good point, that first one.
It's like we still find it funny. 2023.
Yeah, like the song is in 67, so yeah, that one would be.
You know what's funny? Have you guys ever watched like a comedian from like the 70s or 60s, and then like just like wonder how did people in this time find this funny? This is so not funny.
Yeah.
Like
so inappropriate.
For me, it's George Carlin. When I watch George Carlin, I do not understand what people find funny in that.
Oh, well, we should listen to one together at some point. That would be fun. Doesn't have to be recorded.
Oh my God.
I feel the same way, but I have to go back to a prior period, and that is with the slapstick stuff. Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know the Three Stooges?
Oh
The
yeah,
Three Stooges. Oh, okay.
Three Stooges. It's like slapstick. They're hitting
Yeah,
each
they're
other
hitting
and
each other with a fish.
making weird yeah.
I remember.
And there's a my parents found that stuff hilarious. And I watch it, I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I might chuckle a little bit. To just do it. And anyway, so I get that different people get struck with funny. But George Carlin, come on.
Come on.
Refrigerator
like,
Man,
classic. He's just preaching. I'm like watching these videos. Like,
well, it depends which one you're watching. I
preacher?
guess I gotta get you. You gotta watch Refrigerator Man.
Okay, it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. I really love that line. I was like, because like if you change pigeon to a dove, it completely changes the narrative. And
The rhyme.
Religion and pigeon. That's really funny.
You could do love and dove, but
Oh,
all messed up.
oh my God. Love and dove ends up in religion and pigeon. Like, okay.
I think the first comment that humor that spans an age, like if it lasts a long time, then that points at it being, I don't know, deeper somehow, because it has to survive people's changing mores through time.
Exactly.
I'm not sure the current generation finds this funny.
What do you say, George? You find it funny?
I find it funny. Yeah.
He's not the current generation.
What? What am I?
You'd be like in high school.
Oh my God, George, you got too old
already
to be a
aged out.
current generation.
You get like millennials.
I'm a
and
boomer.
Z and whatever's after Z.
Joshua
Gen Z.
is Gen Z. Just Joshua's
I'm
like
Gen
born
Z.
in 2000 or something.
Yeah, but we're past that one now. Is what I'm saying. I'm not sure what they're going to call the next one, and I'm warning people: don't call it Gen Alpha. It's a mistake.
You don't have
Because
any
first
more
of all, you're going to have a
letters.
whole generation going around thinking they're alphas, which they won't be. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of people after that who are going to have to be betas, and it's going to wreck an entire generation if they all think they're betas. So we should not just move to A.
This is like a Y2K moment because we ran out of letters. We reached
Yeah, but it's a good
That's what
point.
Mayans warned us against.
This is the generation naming equivalent of Y2K problem. Do not go to alpha. Don't do it. You heard it here first, folks.